You're watching the Fact Project here on the DJ Tiger channel. Shout out to DJ Tiger. That's my brother. Always jumping through hoops to make things happen. Salute to DJ Tiger. And also remember to like and subscribe and comment on the videos here on the DJ Tiger channel. Tiger puts in that work, so big up to him. This is the Fact Project. Fact, of course, is an acronym that stands for Fundamental African-Centered Thought. The goal here on the Fact Project is to convey some facts and some information to members of our community. Fact Project hasn't been on in a while. I just want to salute everybody for rocking with me, the Fact family, and everyone that always looks forward to the Fact Project. So salute to all the supporters. Today's topic is the landmark Meta lawsuit and what it means going forward. So for those that may not know, you may be watching the Fact Project for the first time. The Fact Project, we talked about the dangers of social media almost 2 years ago. And we went in for a whole hour. My wife was on and she did the research, and so she was able to tell us everything we needed to know about the dangers of social media. It's funny now that the news media is finally catching up to what we were talking about almost 2 years ago. So that's interesting to see. But for those that don't know, there was a major lawsuit against Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. And on the Fact Project, when we talked about social media and the dangers of it, we talked about this being psychological warfare. And I don't know, maybe people thought we were exaggerating, or maybe they thought that we were conveying some kind of conspiracy theory. It's now beginning to come out that when we talked about almost 2 years ago is actually a real thing, and it's coming to pass. Now, what is psychological warfare? Because I like to deal with definitions, because with definitions now you're dealing with clarity. And so everybody's up to speed and knows exactly what I'm talking about. So psychological warfare is defined as the planned non-physical use of propaganda, threats, and misinformation to demoralize, intimidate, or influence the emotions, attitudes, and behavior of an enemy or target population. Now I'm going to say that again for the people in the back of the class. This is important. Psychological warfare is the planned non-physical use of propaganda, social media propaganda, threats. People threaten each other on social media all the time, and they even get into fist fights over that. I'm not sure if that's what that means. Misinformation, and that's the thing with social media and the internet. Anyone can say anything, so it's filled with disinformation. And a lot of people using AI, which I say should stand for actually incorrect. So a lot of the information is false because AI is not totally accurate. So the planned non-physical use of propaganda, threats, and misinformation to demoralize. I think this Meta lawsuit was about that subject. People feeling demoralized because they're comparing themselves to what they're seeing on social media. So to demoralize, intimidate, or influence the emotions. Again, here we go with that psychological piece. Emotions, attitudes. Attitudes come from psychology, right? Psychological thought and practice. And behavior of an enemy or targeted population. So we were saying back then that social media was actually psychological warfare. Not sure if people paid their full attention to that, or if people thought that that was us just conveying some kind of conspiracy theory. Now it's coming out in the news, the psychological detriment of social media use and the overuse of social media, because that's a whole nother subject. Was trying to have Brother Siddiqui Bakari on. He is the foremost expert on this, but he was unable to join us today. We will have to bring Brother Siddiqui Bakari on again in the future. But Brother Siddiqui Bakari goes into the fact that the internet was created in the 1950s by the military. Anything created by the military is created for the purpose of warfare. And so he said the internet was created in the 1950s by the military for surveillance and counterintelligence. I'm going to say that again. The internet was created by the military in the 1950s for the purposes of surveillance and counterintelligence. Now, there's something a lot of people don't realize. When we say smartphone, we're not saying smartphone because it's connected to the internet and information and artificial intelligence and all these other things. SMART is actually an acronym that stands for something. And just stay with me because I'm doing this on the fly. SMART is not just, it's not just it's not just the name of a phone, or it's not just the name of a particular technology. SMART in smartphone actually stands for self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. Let's say it again. For those people in the back of the classroom, SMART in smartphone refers to it stands for self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology. I say it all the time. Social media is it's self-surveillance. It's do-it-yourself surveillance. People get on social media and put all their business there, pictures of their children and so forth. Now notice the technology is called self-monitoring. You're monitoring yourself. So monitoring, I think, is one of the operative words in SMART. It's monitoring everything you do. I'm sure everyone has searched something online, and then the next time you open your phone, you're getting ads for whatever it is you searched for online. So it's monitoring you. It's in your head. It knows what you're thinking even. In fact, years ago, one of the cable companies, they talked about on demand, where you could, basically pick what you want to watch, as opposed to live television where you have to watch whatever they're giving you. And the slogan is, what's on your mind is what's on your television. I add a layer to that now and say what's on your mind is on your smartphone. So that's the self-monitoring part of SMART. The next thing that alarms me with self-monitoring, analysis, and reporting technology is reporting. Who is the phone reporting to? Is it tech giants, privately owned corporations, or is it the power structure? Who is the smartphone monitoring you and reporting to? These are things we don't think about. So you have to really be mindful when you're using cell phone and you're using digital technology, so forth and so on. Brother Siddiqui Bakari, who we will have to have on at some point, says that we talk about psychological warfare. He said there are 6 domains of warfare. He said land, air, sea, space, cyberspace. And now the 6th domain is the human domain. And it's what I just said. They're in your head. They're in your mind. They know what you're thinking, because what's on your mind is what's on your smartphone, your self-monitoring and reporting technology device. So they know exactly what you're thinking. And so if they know what you're thinking, they could, and they see you're on vacation because you post that on social media. They see where you went to lunch. In fact, the phone can track you. If you were on the run for whatever reason and you had a phone with you, don't even think that you're running anywhere, because they can monitor you on a screen if you have a cell phone. So it's a tracking device. And so not only is it all of those things, but the fact that this thing is causing people psychological harm is something that does not need to be slept on, because now people are coming out with lawsuits. I'm looking here at an article. This is from the BBC. It says campaigners welcome Meta's defeat in landmark social media addiction trial. Now, I think it's interesting that they're referring to this as addiction. And now BBC website is not letting me view this. All right, so that's a problem. Either way, let me see. I'm going to the next one. Jury finds Meta negligent in landmark lawsuit. This is not what I wanted to read, but I think BBC is trying to get me to subscribe to the website. Yes, they are. All right, so no worries. We go to the next thing. So let me see. This is coming from NBC News. Jury finds Meta and YouTube negligent in landmark lawsuit on social media safety. Now it says Los Angeles. A jury found Meta negligent in the design or operation of their social media platforms, producing a bellwether verdict in the first lawsuit to take tech giants to trial for social media addiction. Now, they saying here that the technology was created deliberately to be addictive. Now, what does that mean? When you get on any social media platform, you can just, my whole operation's falling over here. You could just scroll. And it's this endless scroll that does not end because it's created to not end. So they deliberately want you to get stuck on the platform and stay on it as long as you can. And so they deliberately create it so that you're just sitting there doom scrolling like this, right? So what is doom scrolling? Not sure if this is an expression a lot of people are familiar with. Doom scrolling is the habitual, meaning it's a habit. You keep going back to this thing because it's a habit. Doom scrolling is the habitual, excessive consumption of negative, distressing news or social media content. Now, this leaves out the fact that it doesn't always have to be negative per se, because a lot of people that are on social media and they stay on it for a long time and they doom scroll because they want that dopamine hit. Not sure if the landmark lawsuit talks about what the social media platforms do to your brain. If they touched on the psychological impact, I guess they did touch on that. But it's a dopamine hit. It's almost like you're looking for that rush. You're looking for that scroll. You're looking for that post. You're looking to see if anyone liked your post or made a comment on it, so forth and so on. And so not only that, you're seeing what other people said. This is where doom scrolling comes in. Doom scrolling is the habitual, excessive consumption of negative, distressing news or social media content, often leading to anxiety, depression, or poor sleep. Anxiety, depression is what this lawsuit against Meta was about. It says the Los Angeles County Superior Court jury said that Meta's Meta Meta's negligence were a substantial factor in causing harm to the plaintiff, identified in the court by her initials KGM. Now they refer to her as Kaylee. I don't know if that's her real name or if that's a club name, but either way. And that the companies failed to adequately warn users of the dangers of Instagram, Meta's platform. So they're saying that they deliberately created to be addictive so that you stay on it. And they want you to stay on it really because they want to show you advertisement. And the longer you can stay on, the more money they could potentially make because you may support or patronize the advertisers. Either way, the court, meaning the court, awarded KMG, which is the plaintiff in the case, $3 million in compensatory damages, finding Meta 70% responsible for harm caused to the now 20-year-old plaintiff. That's another thing. They said KMG, or Kaylee, if that's her real name, was using social media since she was 8 or 9 years old. Now, 8 or 9-year-old does not have a job to buy a smartphone. 8 or 9-year-old is not paying for internet access to use the phone. 8 or 9-year-old is not paying a monthly bill. So who's doing that? That's the parent. And I'm saying as a parent, if your child turns out screwed up, that's not the child's fault. The child has bad habits and they don't know any code of conduct and they just being children and you're not teaching them. You don't blame the child, you have to blame the parent. And so the plaintiff is now 20 years old. When she started using social media, she was 8 or 9 years old. Who gives a child a cell phone with unfettered access to the internet and lets the child use a cell phone for 8 or 9 hours? That's a bad idea. Like, how was the parent not realizing that? That makes no sense to me. When we talked about social media here on the Fact Project nearly 2 years ago. We talked about the subject. We talked about giving a child unfettered access to the internet with a cell phone is like dropping your 8-year-old off in the middle of Times Square and leaving for 4 hours and coming back and expecting your 8-year-old to still be there. It's delusional. It's something you would not do. Let me see. It says it awarded KMG $3 million in compensatory damages. I read that. The trial, which began last month, this is going back to March now, in Los Angeles County courtroom, and included testimony from Mark Zuckerberg, who for me is a shady character. I'm putting him on the same tier as Elon Musk, but we come back to him. It included testimony from Mark Zuckerberg and other tech executives. It was the first in a consolidated group of cases brought against Meta and other companies by more than 1,600 plaintiffs. So this is almost 200 people that had the money to actually file suit against Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, and the tech giants. Or it says, let me see, where was I? Companies, okay, so more than 1,000 plaintiffs, including over 350 families and over 250 school districts. So the school districts are now suing social media platforms for the psychological damage that is causing the children in the psychological warfare that we find ourselves engaged in. Outside the courtroom, families who say their children were harmed by social media embraced as they celebrated the verdict, telling reporters they feel vindicated. Now, I think this is interesting because I think this opens the floodgates. And if one individual is awarded $6 million, I'm sure a lot of other people are going to begin to come after Meta and all the other social media tech giants for the same thing and see if they could cake up and cash out as well. Spokespeople for Meta and Google said the companies disagree with the verdict and plan to appeal. Now, I don't know how you disagree with the verdict that says you deliberately created your product to be addictive when you deliberately created your product to be addictive. But what else would they say? Teen mental health is profoundly complex and cannot be linked to a single app, a Meta spokesperson said, which is a good point. Teen mental health is profoundly complex, which is why parents should never just give a child a smartphone with unchecked access to the internet and let them be in the room with the door closed using the phone for hours, not even knowing what content that they're taking in. In fact, speaking of content and consuming content, you could check out Sam Sun and DJ Tiger. There's a whole song about this called Watch Your Consumption. I think it's interesting that this is coming out now. This is the sort of thing we've been talking about. Watch Your Consumption. Sam Sun and DJ Tiger. That's a song you definitely need to hear. And it should be here on the DJ Tiger channel. If not, you could check the Samsung channel. I would play it now at the end when I'm done, but I'm not sure because we're doing something a little different today. So we have to kind of do a little makeshift jerry rig of our setup. So I don't know if I can share my screen. But and I'm not even trying to waste time doing it because it might be just that, a waste of time. So the tech giants are saying teens' mental health is profoundly complex and cannot be linked to a single app. Actually, it can be. It says Meta spokesperson said. So it's a vague, ambiguous Meta spokesperson that's speaking in defense of Meta. But what else would they say? Quote, we will continue to defend ourselves vigorously as every case is different, and we remain confident in our record of protecting teens online, close quote. I don't know what they do to protect teens online, but again, what else are they going to say? Now it says, spokesperson for Google also said the case misunderstands social media, which is responsibly built platform on social media site. In a joint statement, co-lead counsel for KMG, that's a plaintiff in the case, said the verdict is a historical moment for thousands of children and their families. But this verdict is bigger than one case. This is saying, the lawyer said. For years, social media companies have profited from targeting children while concealing their addictive, dangerous design features. And that's the doom scrolling that I talked about years ago. If you were on social media, you may have had Black Planet, for those of you that remember that. You may have had MySpace, for those of you that are old enough to remember that. You couldn't doom scroll forever. You would actually get to the end of a page back then. Now, and then you might, if you want to continue scrolling, you would have to get off and get back on so that you can get another feed so that you can continue scrolling. Either way, they make the social media now that you can't possibly reach the bottom of a feed. So you could doom scroll for hours and you can never reach the bottom. And so they deliberately created that way because they wanted you to be addicted to it and they wanted you to stay on it as long as they could possibly keep you on it because that's more money for them. Read that again. Quote, "This verdict is bigger than one case," the lawyer said. Close quote. For years, this is another quote, social media companies have profited from targeting children while concealing their addictive and dangerous design features. That's that doom scrolling that never ends. Today's verdict is a referendum from a jury to an entire industry that accountability has arrived. So they're saying now that they're going to continue to try to hold these tech giants and social media accountable for deliberately creating their product to be addictive. KMG, which is KMG's lead attorney, KMG is the plaintiff in the case, Mark Lanier, has said he hopes the proceedings produce transparency and accountability. Now, transparency and accountability. I consider Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, throw him in there too because he owns X, which was formerly Twitter. I call it Twix. If you expect transparency and accountability from these people, I think you're sadly mistaken. I would consider Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and those type of people, I would consider them to be psychopaths. Psychopath by definition, because I like definitions. Psychopath by definition is defined as someone that exemplifies antisocial behavior, which is funny that their platform is called social media and they're antisocial. Psychopaths exemplify antisocial behavior, and that antisocial behavior on occasion is accompanied by violence. Now, they're saying they're hoping to produce transparency and accountability. A psychopath is not going to be transparent. So in The Art of War, Sun Tzu said, if you know your enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you don't know your enemy is a psychopath, you might think that because of some media scrutiny and lawsuits that they might now begin to be accountable and transparent. They're not. They're psychopaths. They're not going to be accountable. They're not going to be transparent about everything they're doing because these psychopaths are just concerned with making money. They're making millions. They don't care who they harm. Not sure how these people sleep at night or face themselves in the mirror. So it says KMG's lead attorney, Mark Lanier, has said he hopes that the proceedings produce transparency and accountability, which is delusional for me, so that the public can see that these companies have been orchestrating an addiction crisis in our country and actually the world. So orchestrating an addiction crisis, yes. Transparency and accountability, we're not getting that from these people. The plaintiff was a minor at the time of the incidents outlined in her lawsuit. Again, a minor should not be using a cell phone, smartphone, a self-monitoring and analysis reporting device or technology on their own unchecked. So that's shame on the parents. Now, I think the tech giants assume some accountability with respect to what's happened here. And I think the parents should also assume some responsibility and accountability to what happens with their children. And who's responsible for your children but you, right? Meta and whomever else is not responsible for your children. I think Meta's still in the wrong, but parents need to be more mindful of the consumption of the child. Again, Samsung and DJ Tiger, watch your consumption. You got to mind what your children are consuming. And being aware and conscious of what you are taking in psychologically matters. It says the plaintiff was a minor at the time of the incidents outlined in her lawsuit. KGM testified in court that her nearly nonstop use of social media caused or contributed to depression, anxiety, and body dysmorphia. So she said her social media contributed to depression. Why? Because you're comparing yourself to everybody on social media who acts like they're living their best life. They're always on vacation. They're always smiling and happy, and you're not doing the things that they're pretending that they're doing. Now, if you notice on social media, people only post the good news. No one ever posts that my son got arrested yesterday. Nobody ever posts the bad news. Nobody ever posts my son got arrested yesterday. My daughter's ex-boyfriend slashed the tires on her car. They don't post that. Everyone's posting good stuff. Nobody ever posts the bad news. And so if you think that that's real because you're a minor and you don't really know better, you're going to be inclined to think that you have to compare yourself to these people. And we got DJ Tiger in the house. Peace, Tiger. What's going on with you, brother?
Hey, what's good, brother? Finally got to join. Out here working, but I was like, let me get on the line.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on what I've expounded on so far, if you caught any of it?
Well, you basically talking about how the parents are letting these kids have unfiltered access to the internet,
Correct.
and there's like no regulations. Yeah, man. I mean, like you said about you wouldn't leave your kid, 8 years old in the middle of Times Square for 8 hours. So why would you leave them, on the phone? Because they think that being on the phone, you safe in the house. What about the predators that's on these online in these kids games? I mean,
Uh,
there was a lawsuit with was it Roblox where there
yes.
was adults on it pretending to be kids to try to befriend kids not gonna say what, but we know what they were trying to do, like disgusting behavior. So, but when it comes down to money with these corporations, as we known over, we can take it back even for the internet, man. They don't care, man. They don't care about kids' well being. It's very demonic behavior, and it's sickening. And if you're making millions off of it, they don't care about regulations. They'll pay the fine and still be making money.
That's right. Now, was there a lawsuit against Roblox because somebody was actually kidnapped as a result? Was there a lawsuit behind
Yeah,
that?
I don't know if I think it was a class action. I would assume it was a class action because it's hundreds of thousands of kids, maybe millions that play that game.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sure there was like a big class action lawsuit, but I don't have like the particulars on it. But
Okay.
yeah,
Now,
but
the plan. Go ahead.
so I mean, so going back to this meta thing, so they actually won the case, right? It was one person.
One individual won, yes.
Right, right. So to me, it'll probably set a precedence for more cases. Probably something that we don't even know about. That
Oh
are
yeah,
probably
there's more. There's more coming. They said even some school districts, 250 school districts, are suing because it's just a distraction. Yeah,
wow.
districts and other parents, and there's any number of people now that are trying to go after them. So, uh, Kaylee, who they refer to as KMG in the case, they're saying she got 6 million, so she caked up, and so because people are seeing that, you already know the floodgates are gonna open, and
Oh
everybody
yeah.
to come and get cake now because of what because of what happened. Now, I said, and I want to get your opinion on this. It says, and I'm reading from the article here. It says Kaylee testified in court that her nearly nonstop use of social media, and this is a child, 8 or 9 years old, caused or contributed to depression, anxiety, and body dysmorphia. Depression, and I said this because everyone's online acting like they're living their best life and posting that they're on vacation or they're on lunch, and nobody ever posts the bad news. Um,
Nah.
yeah, are you noticing that online that people are just acting like they living their best life and they're just like living it up, and other people are comparing themselves to that? Are you seeing that?
It's yeah. That's been going on for like years. You know what I mean? And we finally, like you say, like talking about it. Yeah, it's so many people that you can actually tell now. I talked to my friend, and she says the same thing. She's like, when you sitting there and going on extra hard, showing like, oh, how good, oh, you and your man is, oh, good. They just putting everything on the internet. Then you find out months later, oh, they broke up
Right.
or
That's right.
something happened. You know what I mean? It's always those people that they push that like it's so, they're living so well, this and that, and in turn, there's a lot of trauma going on. And to me, they're using that as a vehicle to escape the
Yeah.
real life. You gotta have a regulation on yourself on what's the internet and what's actually real. And nowadays, everyone looks at the internet as real
Yeah.
life, and they get caught up in whether it's issues at home, people robbing people. I mean, we just had a case with one of those clown rappers, Pooh Shiesty or whatever his name is. They make that horrible ass music. I won't even go into that, but that negative, low vibrational rap. And he tried to rob another rapper with like 9 other people, and then the guys that robbed them, they had the conversation they, about robbing them on the internet. Then they posted
Wow.
what they robbed. They posted what they stole on the internet. Like, how remedial and stupid are you to do that? Like, the cops are just sitting back, like, let's wait for them to post and we'll just go pick them up. Like, there's
Basically,
no investigations, there's no paperwork. They don't have to do anything because these dudes are idiots, yo. And it's like, to me, it is a mental something's wrong with a lot of people, and it's looked at as this normal behavior, and it's not.
yeah, I shouldn't laugh. I'm laughing only because it's sad. You know,
It's that ridiculous. Yeah,
it's that ridiculous. It's like they can't even do wrong right. It's so bad that,
yeah.
and I think I might have heard about that. Didn't somebody get kidnapped in the situation? And it was something about,
Well, it was a meeting there, and then I think it went awry. You know what I mean? And they pulled guns out. It was some type of contract thing, and they wanted to, I think, let out the contract.
okay,
And I think it was like, well, you still owe money. I give you an advance. No, so they pulled guns out, thinking we're going to get out the contract this way. But when you pull guns out and then you rob them and hold them there, that turns into kidnapping, whether you took them somewhere or not.
I get it.
So, and it's federal, so yeah, he's done.
Yeah, once you don't control the exit, that's kidnapping. I get it.
Yeah.
So now,
So,
the plaintiff in the case complained that this caused body dysmorphia. I'm noticing, I don't know about you, but I'm noticing a lot of women getting surgery or getting their bodies done, quote unquote. And they're saying that this is being caused by social media. Are you seeing that?
oh yeah, yeah, and I know you're not heavy on social media like that because of the very reason of how detrimental it is. You got kids. You know what I mean? I know you don't have them on there like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, this been going on for so long, Raul. Now there's a lot of people that are reversing what they did. They're going back trying to get stuff removed because they saw how bad it is for their body, for their health.
Oh
And
wow.
it's like, yeah, people been saying that, but I mean, it is good that people are waking up to it and actually telling their story. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I went and did this, for the industry because they don't care about the talent. If you look a certain way, you know what I mean. They're not gonna push that. You have to look like a Kardashian. You know what I mean? And a lot of them are realizing that that wasn't the way,
Yeah.
and it's sad because yeah, health is addicted. You know what I mean? And let's be honest, a lot of us are guilty of like we see these pictures, and clicking on them and liking them. You know what I mean? But it's like, where's the line drawn to what's fantasy and what's real life? And then you
Yeah.
got women going to other countries and they're dying because they're getting these illegal surgeries. They're actually getting tire fluid pumped into
Wow.
their bosoms and their stuff to make it
Wow.
look big, and it's poisoning them. Like,
That's crazy.
you got to be, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
to have that done to you to do that. So it's a lot of it is a lot of like bad things going on in people's brains on how they are perceiving themselves and what they want to be, and not even loving yourself, man. Like,
Yeah.
love who you are. They're so wrapped up in this demonic industry, man. They're willing to do anything just for that little part of fame. And then, is it worth it?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Now, you touched on something. You said that social media use or excessive use of social media, and I touched on this earlier. It's, it kind of gives you an endorphin rush to kind of see who said what or
Yeah,
who's doing, posted
yeah,
what, and it's escapism. People are trying to escape their reality, whatever the reality is. It's just escapism, and so
yeah.
yeah, when you hyper focus on escapism, that in and of itself is delusional because you're living for that dopamine rush. You're living to get back on social media and doom scroll until you find something that's giving you that dopamine rush that you're looking for.
Mm. So you're saying that's a chemical reaction in the brain that's actually doing that,
Right,
so they
and so
can't help themselves. Yeah,
that's what causes addiction. It's a chemical response in the brain. It could be drugs, could be alcohol, could be social media, could be whatever it is. It's that
right.
response causing in your brain that you become addicted to. So you want to continue to get that feeling. It's almost like years ago when we coming up in the 80s, and they talked about crack, and they talked about
Yeah.
the crack dealers would give you the first crack for free because there's nothing like that first high, and you constantly chasing that, right? Social media is the same thing. You're constantly chasing that rush or that endorphin rush that you might have gotten from
Right.
whatever time you were on or whatever time you, or you're still trying to chase that. And so
Yeah.
I that's part of the problem. That's what we're seeing. This is what caused it to be addictive. And I mentioned years ago we had social media like Black Planet and MySpace, and
Oh
you
yeah.
could get to the bottom of a scroll. Now you could just scroll for hours and you will never reach the
Bro.
bottom. And that's the
Yup.
problem. And that's where the loss, because they deliberately created the technology to be addictive because it keeps you on it, because you're seeing advertisement. As long as you're staying on it, it's more money for them. So
Yeah.
do you remember MySpace and Black Planet and those things where you could actually reach
Yeah.
the
I probably still got an account. Yeah.
you don't use it, but you
But
probably still, right?
you know what's crazy though about that addiction? You know what I mean? Like people didn't look at that. They looked at it as a tangible thing would be addiction. Like you said, the drugs, alcohol. They didn't look to your phone as addiction. Only years later, like you said, then they did all these studies. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's crazy that they didn't. You didn't look at it as something that you can really be addicted to. But
it is.
like look what's been happening, man. It's bad, man. And you know, with there are people on platforms like Twitch that Twitch is you're DJing or you're doing a show and then you can move the crowd to another show at the end of the show and keep going. There's people that are literally on Twitch all day, every day.
Wow.
Because, like, during the pandemic, you would see a lot of the same people because everyone was in the house all the time. But as the everything opened up, people went back to the regular lives outside. But there's other people, man, that because of whatever issues they have before Twitch, it shows in these platforms because they constantly on, like you said, on social media, and
Wow.
they're on all day, every day. Like as dope as these DJs are, I can't be on all day. Like
Yeah,
I got work to do, or I got to decompress sometimes.
sure.
And
Absolutely.
for you to be on it all day, every day, you're right, man. It's definitely an addiction. That's
People
not
are,
even an opinion. That's a fact.
right. You're saying people are living their lives on the internet basically at this point.
Yeah. Yep. And it's crazy is because they'll have events outside of the internet, like where they created events where you can actually go outside and meet people. A lot of these people don't even come to these events
Oh wow.
because maybe they might be socially awkward, but
Sure.
they're online 24 hours a day.
Wow, that's bad. That's
That's the
bad.
only life they know. Yeah, yeah, man.
Wow, that's crazy. That we talk about the Internet of Things. People living their life on the internet and they on Twitch for like all day. That's crazy. But now, let me say this, and this is going back to the article. This is the plaintiffs. It says, speaking about her social media use, KGM testified that she felt she wanted to constantly be on the platforms and feared missing out if she wasn't. You think that's another,
Mm.
again, like stuff is going by and they fear that they're gonna miss something, like they're missing out on something. Do you think that might be part of the problem for real?
Yeah, they feel that it's almost like when people like, yo, I gotta be outside. I gotta be outside on the weekend. Like you feel like you want to be out on the streets because you're missing something. It's the
Exactly.
same type of mentality, man. And with the kids, it's even worse because their brains are not fully, developed. Man, you had kids, you know, committing suicide, man, from social media because of like, think about the bullying. Like kids going through bullying in school, right? Like, damn, you don't want to go to school, you're being bullied. But
Mm.
now you go to school, something happens, a kid records it,
Wow.
puts it online. He puts it on a site where all millions of kids are. So then the kids can't even escape it. They go home, they being bullied online, and then the kid takes a life. You know what I mean? Like I've heard of so many stories of that. So yeah, man, it's a the Pandora's box, like they say, has been opened with the internet. You have the good, but you don't always have the bad with technology, especially when it gets out of hand. With the AI, people losing their jobs.
Yeah.
You know, with AI, whatever the good part of it, there's a lot of bad I've been seeing more than good.
Absolutely. And when
trying
they
to make us
promote
robot.
it, they're going to only tell you the benefits. And it's almost like they use fear-based programming, like, oh, AI revolution's here. You don't want to get left behind. AI is good for this. AI is good for that. But they're not giving you the downside. They're only giving you what the potential benefits are. And
Yeah.
when I today I touched on one of the downsides of AI, which I say should stand for actually incorrect, is that there's a lot of misinformation on there. You know,
True.
everything
I like
AI is not accurate. I search stuff sometime and I'm seeing things that I
it.
know. So the AI is people rely on that or Chat GPT, which I say should stand for Global Plagiarizing Technology. That information,
Wow.
that information is not totally accurate. And so that's
Right.
another rely on the internet. It's almost like the internet becomes your brain. And if humans
Right.
put information on the internet, then you're gonna take that disinformation and repeat it as if you know it's actual information. So, for example, you have Tiger, a lot of black people that are saying now that somehow they're not African and they're Native American. You know, the pretendians, the internet Indians. I think, I think the internet is what's causing a lot of people to be like they're being swayed by disinformation. They're accepting it as fact. So now my thing is, and this is the question for you, I think whether it's deliberate or not, whatever's going on social media, it's a distraction from what's really going on in the world. There's a lot of real stuff going on in the world. I
That's a
think so.
fact.
Part of the problem is the fact that it's just a distraction. It's escapism. It's distracting your attention away from some of the serious things that are really going on. Do you notice that?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's for sure, man. I mean, we got the clown in charge, and he's been doing that since day one, and he figured out a way to manipulate it and get dumb people to support him. I mean, he actually said it. He
Mm.
actually said, "I want people that have no education," because he
Wow.
gonna manipulate, and he can
Wow.
do anything. He said, "I can literally shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and I won't go to jail."
And unfortunately, it seems he's right because look at all the improprieties he's been involved with. The dude is a five-time draft dodger. He was convicted
Yeah,
of 30 felonies. He's an adjudicated rapist. He paid off a porn star. He was
right,
involved with Epstein and pedophilia. He led an insurrection against the country. Now he started an illegal war without congressional approval, and on
right.
and so yeah, it seems he can do what he wants and gets away with it. Like, aren't we seeing that now?
Yeah, and the cowards. What's worse is not even with him. It's the cowards that sit back and they're letting it happen because they're protecting their own interests.
That's
And you
right.
see that, and I call it all white supremacy because it's been white supremacy. But there's a lot of rich black celebrities that are on that side too and won't speak about it because it's gonna hurt their bag.
Yeah. Now
So
you talked about that. Well, you did a post about it. TLC from Left Eye was got busted supporting Donald Trump, and now she's trying to deny it. What can you tell us about that?
well, I mean, see, look, my thing is, yeah, people are saying, they're saying, you black, how you gonna support, his interests or whatever, because whatever his interests are, it don't fully align with black people. My thing is, I know there's black people that support this dude and they stand on it. So why don't you just stand on it? You're lying, saying, "Yo, I would never say this about Michelle Obama was something that she retweeted or something. She's talking about her thumb hit the retweet by mistake. Like that shit even sounds
Yeah.
like a lie. Sounds like it's bullshit. And
Right.
it's like you're saying all these things, but they're pulling records. They're pulling all these likes you did about him being elected,
Wow.
about different laws, and it says your name's in there, like, you know what I mean? And then now all of a sudden I'm seeing that some of the stuff has been removed. Like when you're doing stuff on the internet, it's never erased. So my thing is with her is like, yo, just stand on it. Like, and people are like, well, if she stand on it, she's gonna get ridiculed. So why would she stand on it? But it's like, but ain't lying about it makes it worse because now people are pulling receipts and
Yeah.
making you look stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even like, oh my God, she's mad. She supports that. Like, bro, I'm to the point that I'm not even shocked anymore about what people's agenda or celebrities at that matter. People put these celebrities on a pedestal like they supposed to be some great people that when they make mistakes or something, we're like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, why?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
just they just they just more popular than us because they did something that millions of people loved, back then. I mean, look what Kanye. He just did a sold out concert with like millions of people watching after all that, Nazi stuff he said, and people don't care, bro.
That's true.
People don't even care, you
Yes,
know.
some people that you mentioned, and they're in a different tax bracket. Now, when you start making that kind of money, do you think they're trying to protect their wealth by supporting someone like a Donald Trump? Like, what causes that?
I I think that they might have already been on that side. They just didn't make their politics be known.
Oh, they were self haters from the gate then.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call it that. I just think that whatever their agendas are in business, or that wealthy 1%, there's a lot of people that are lumped in that 1% that aren't just white MAGA Republicans.
Right.
You know what I mean? That 1% is the wealthy and the rich, and they're not gonna that social justice and all that. They don't support none of that.
Interesting.
They
Okay.
don't. Because if
Now,
they really did, man, if all these the so-called, the black billionaires for black people and all that, if they really did, they would have been pulled their resources together and would have started something just like there's like 900 black people in Georgia that started their own community town, like a new Tulsa. They
yes.
created their own stores, their own, you know what I mean, housing, like, and it's everything it's all black. And best
Nice.
believe it ain't gonna be no Tulsa because they armed. They ain't having that. You ain't gonna you ain't gonna come try to burn this down.
I got you. Now, I saw the post that you did. It was a short with Chili, and it was playing No Scrubs. I thought perhaps you should have used the Sporty Thieves No Pigeon.
I as soon as I posted that, I thought about that. I said, damn, I should have used the reply.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought that was funny. So the question becomes now, what's next for Meta in the wake of trial losses and layoffs? Because now, not sure if you heard, but now Meta and some of these other corporations are starting to lay people off. I guess they can't pay them because they got to pay out the lawsuits, right? It
Yeah,
says,
but yo, I mean, how much was the lawsuit? How much they had to pay,
well, the first one was 6 million.
bro? They just made 6 million
Oh,
like
that's dropped.
5 minutes ago.
Right, exactly.
You you know what I mean? Like that's what I mean. They do these laws and break them. They get these fines and they keep it moving. Like they're not gonna be bankrupt. They're not going out of business.
Yeah.
You know. So the system itself is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. People talking about, oh, the system is broken, it need to be fixed. No, this is what the system was designed to do.
Right. So now
From
I'm looking at an article. This is from NPR. It says, "What's next for Meta in the wake of trial losses and layoffs?" It says Meta has had a tough few weeks. To say,
Mhm.
the parent company of Facebook and Instagram has lost two pivotal court cases, laid off hundreds of people, and taken steps that appear to amount to a U-turn on the metaverse, a virtual reality project that CEO Mark Zuckerberg once heralded as the future. That's another thing. That whole metaverse thing, again, we talk about the psychological impact that this has on your brain, right? I think that's a horrible
Yeah.
idea. It says analysis say Meta's hard pivot to artificial intelligence, underscored by tens of billions of dollars in investment, has been a mixed bag. And if the hope is to compete with the leading players in the space, like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, it's getting harder by the day. It says on the legal front, a New Mexico jury found that Meta failed to protect young users from, yeah, I'm not even gonna say that. It's inappropriate content. I'll say that.
Right.
And late last month, it found liable by jury in Los Angeles in the depression and anxiety of a woman who used social media as a small child, uh, and on and on and on. It says Meta has said it disagrees with the court outcomes and will appeal, as will Google in a statement emailed to NPR. A Meta spokesperson said teen mental health is complex and cannot be linked to a single app. They said that in the last article. But the verdicts put a dent in defense that social media companies have used in the past, that the platform is the content which they do not control, rather than the delivery method. Experts say the trial comes open the door to a flood of similar cases that will likely embroil Meta and others. Yeah, I think they're gonna be in trouble. So this is
Oh, yeah.
basically that they're trying to switch up the way they do things now because of what's happened. I think it's already done, and you made an excellent point. You said they've already made millions of dollars off of this, and so even if they do pivot to do something else, they've already gotten paid, and the something else is going to involve more artificial intelligence, right?
Yeah,
So go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So you talking about people getting laid off, due to negative things, or they had to lay people off because of money loss. That's bull. You know what I mean? They're replacing these people with the AI. That's the agenda.
Right.
So that's not a negative thing. It's a negative for the people that lost their jobs. Is messed up for them. But yeah, they're doing that to restructure. What they probably be doing with AI.
Exactly.
And
So just switching up. It's like that old game is over, and they're on to the next game now. Because my
yeah,
thing, they're saying they're making a U-turn, they're switching up, whatever. When you're dealing with a psychopath, the question is always, what are they up to now? They're
yeah,
not walking back like, hey, we're now going to do the right thing because we got busted. They're going to continue to get money doing the wrong thing, despite the fact that they got busted. And I think AI is not necessarily the right direction to go in. And so
yeah.
I think it's interesting. We talked about the mental health of the children. Um, I'm sure you've seen this before, where the school, the parent, or whomever, they take the phone away from the child, and the child basically has a meltdown because they don't have that phone. Have you seen that?
Oh, my bad, man. I had to mute it for a second because I'm at the doctor's waiting for my father to come out. I think he was coming
Okay.
out, but say that one more time.
I said that sometimes if we talk about the mental health of the teenagers and so forth in the schools and even sometime at home, if parents take the cell phone away from the children, they'll get angry, like they'll have a meltdown. Have you seen this?
Oh, yes, man. Black out, yo. Like, and I don't want to put on like race, but I haven't seen a black kid do that. You know what I mean? But
Absolutely.
yeah, that's insane. Like, I seen a kid, yeah, like tear the kitchen up because the
Wow.
mom
Wow.
took the phone away. Yeah, and I'm like, yo, where's the father to whoop his ass? Like,
There you go.
point blank. Like, where, you know what I mean? Like, that was,
Off the
yeah,
chain.
that just goes to show you the addiction, man. Like,
Yeah.
that is crazy. There was two I think twin sisters from an Asian country. I can't remember where it was, Thailand or somewhere. And the father took their device away, and they both of them committed suicide.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Jumped off the roof. Yeah,
Wow, that's
like,
bad.
yeah, man, it's scary, man. And yo, Hassan, real quick, just to pivot real quick. I mean, it's still talking about the addiction, but with the phones, spying. I heard you say, you do a crime with a phone, you stupid because they know where you're at. He's saying when you're talking about something or someone on your phone, it's gonna appear in your newsfeed,
Mm.
bro. That's been happening for so long. I remember I specifically talked about something purposely just to see if it would pop up, and it actually did. I was like,
Wow.
we talk about I need a new bed mattresses. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, I saw bed mattresses companies on my
Uh,
Instagram feed.
Now I'm gonna say this, and I'm glad you said that. Yesterday, I was listening to something on TuneIn on the phone, right? It's a station in another state, and they were talking about a particular individual. This is someone that I haven't seen on YouTube in I don't know how long. Why, when I get on YouTube, the first thing in my feed was that person that the radio was talking about that I was listening to through the cell phone. Dig that.
Wow,
That's crazy.
wow,
Now, Tiger, in the
yeah,
couple we have left, I think going forward, what we need to do obviously is either limit our social media use or eliminate it altogether. Elon Musk, it owns X. I'm not sure how black people are still using X. I think that should be boycotted by now. But going forward, what are some of the things you think we could do as a solution to either reduce our use of it or eliminate it altogether?
Yeah, to me, it's so ingrained in business and everything. It's not going to be completely wiped out. I mean, as individually, you can regulate your own. To me, man, it comes down to regulating your own household. You got younger kids, you regulate them from being on the internet all day. You put blocks, on their devices. Where I have a friend that their kids at like a certain time, the internet cuts off. They can't get access to the Wi-Fi.
Oh,
You got work to do, or you got school the next day. Like,
okay.
don't be one of those, like you said, that just let them do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
You know, and because it just comes down to your own social responsibility and what you need to do, because you're not going to change the system. Let's
Yeah.
let's be honest. And anyone that's in the in the uh, in the politics that wants to try to change the system, they're going to either get rid of them, or they're going to not get them elected. Because anyone that's in there that's going to try to do change, they're not going to want that. It would need to be burnt down to the ground. Everybody,
Now,
you
I was
know.
add on to what you just said. If you study economics, everything is supply and demand. A
Yeah,
company is not going to continue to pour money into a product if people are not buying it. So, if people stop using social media and the demand goes down, that might be a way to kind of regulate it. It might begin to slowly fizzle. It's like everything, it comes and goes. It's like anything else that was popular. It comes and goes. But you
no,
make another point. Go ahead.
no, 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 I get exactly what you mean, but you know, there's why I said that it won't happen with social media, because you also have the part of social media that's making zillions of dollars with just business. I'm not even talking about the bad stuff. I'm just talking about just as business, how it's just intertwined in everyone's business, with school, with everything. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I said it's got to be a personal regulation. They did the Target ban that kind of worked. They lost a lot of money, and then Target, suppose they went back to the table, say, "Oh, we're gonna, do the right thing, whatever." Which I don't believe, but I just think they're doing that to save face, because they lost billions of dollars. Something like that was kind of effective, because it was just Target. It was just that one corporation. People like, "Yo, we ain't going to Target," and I seen it, because I do like the DoorDash and stuff, and I had to go in there and get something for a customer. Bro, it's like a ghost town in there. There wasn't people in there like how they are at Walmart, this and that. So that did kind of work. So, but with the internet, because it's worldwide, it like the whole world is attached to it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think it would be a complete cutoff.
Yeah, it's so pervasive, and so many people are so stuck on it that it would be hard to say, "Hey, stop using it or boycott the internet." That would be too hard.
Yeah,
And then
because
the business,
we're on it right now, doing a show about regulating. You know,
so in the business world, it would be hard to do that because people use that to conduct business every day. And look,
yeah,
I've been to stores where their whole system is connected to the Wi-Fi. When it starts to buffer or they start to have a problem, they can't complete your transaction until the internet kicks back on, right? So we've come to
yep,
rely on fabric of how we
yeah,
do things. But when it comes to social media use, I almost see it like a spatula in your home. You may have a spatula, but you may not use it every day. However, it is there when you do need it once in a while, right? I
right,
would see it used the same way. It's like a spatula. It's there. You use it once in a while, but you don't use it every day. You don't use a spatula all day. You don't use that to eat your meal, but it's there in case you need it to prepare the meal, right? So
right,
social media is the same thing. It's there if you need it, but you don't use it every day all day.
yeah. And I think it would just go back to, regulating yourself. Like, don't be on TikTok scrolling for 3 hours.
Right.
Do it for 10 minutes and then get off of it. You know, Instagram, you posting all day. Post
Yeah.
once a day. You know, kind of wean yourself off of, like drugs. You gotta wean yourself off of it. Find something else to do. Go walk in the goddamn park. You know what I'm saying? Like, go play outside. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? This kid's at apartment complex, man. It's a lot of the culture of where I live. It's a lot of Indians there, and their culture, yo. The women are outside walking, taking walks. The kids are outside playing. Remember what we used to do? Go outside and ride our bikes. They're not in the apartments on the internet all day.
Wow.
They don't do that. So that's a culture thing with them. Their kids are outside playing.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say
So
that. I'm gonna give you this
it's
story, and
love
then
for
we
the
get.
parents.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you this quick story, and we get off. My sister lives in New Jersey, and
Okay.
she drove past a house, and it's like 5 or 6 kids. They're in front of a house, like on the porch. They kind of just hanging out. Everybody's got their head down on a cell phone. Nobody talking to each other, and they call that hanging out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's when we were coming up. We played football in the street. We rode bicycles. The girls were jumping double
Yeah.
by doing stuff, right? Now it's not like that. Everybody's on the internet. They're on roadblocks. They're doing whatever they're doing connected to the internet.
Yeah.
Either way, Tiger, I'm gonna go ahead and get off, man. I appreciate you coming
Hey,
on, chopping it
definitely,
up,
man.
subject, and
Try to try to do this every week with you.
oh yeah, yeah, if you could, bro, that'd be sweet, man.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Henry, salute Hassan, salute. Hey, don't forget, I know we just talked about social media. We have a new streaming site that we're supporting. It's called Famous.
Okay,
FAM-US. Go over there, make an account. I simulcast stream on there. It's owned, it's black owned, and we're gonna push that to be the next thing, and it's gonna be positive over
okay.
there.
And speaking of pushing something, mention the website that people can go and buy your merch.
Oh yes, yes. So you can go to fullblast.studio. That's a that's a new URL, the dot. So dot studio. So fullblast.studio, or you can go to shop.djaytiger.com. I got some new dope merch on there. Ron, I appreciate the support over there as well. And yeah, check it out. New lineup for the spring and summer.
Yeah, people support black business, and I can't see what's in the chat right now because of our setup today. But shout out to brother Hassan Burton. I'm sure he's there, and
Yes, indeed.
Stadillo, I think you mentioned him, and whomever else. Everybody that's in the chat. I can't see you, so I can't respond to everybody. But salute to everybody that's watching in the chat right now.
No doubt. Yeah. Shout out to Anonymous Apocalypse Henry. Still, he's a long time supporter and subscriber. So yeah, man. Lewis Butler, salute.
Yes, and 90,000 for the DJ Tiger channel subscribers. So salute to
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you,
So
bro. Shit.
we're gonna continue to grow, bro.
Yup, and I'll see y'all next week, man.
Yes, sir.
Back podcast.
Yep. All right, Tiger. Peace.
So, peace.